The restaurant was softly glowing under the golden lights of the evening. The hum of gentle conversation mixed with the faint sound of jazz playing somewhere in the background. Emily sat at the corner table near the window, her fingers wrapped around the warm coffee cup she'd been nursing for almost half an hour. Every few minutes, she checked her phone, pretending to scroll through messages that weren't there. Her reflection in the glass window looked calm, but her heart told a different story, a little hopeful, a little nervous, and now, mostly disappointed. It had been her best friend Jenna's idea. "You've been single too long," Jenna had declared just days before, pushing her into this blind date with relentless enthusiasm. "He's perfect, kind, funny, and ready to settle down. Trust me, you'll love him." But sitting there now, surrounded by couples chatting and laughing, Emily felt foolish. The seat across from her was still empty. The waiter had refilled her water twice already, giving her the kind of polite smile that said "You've been waiting too long." She took a deep breath and tried to shake off the sting of rejection. Maybe he wasn't coming. Maybe he'd changed his mind. Maybe this was the universe's way of reminding her that fairy tales weren't written for everyone. With a sigh, she reached for her purse, ready to leave before her loneliness became too obvious. Just as she began to stand, a small voice spoke from nearby. "Excuse me, miss." Emily turned, startled. Standing a few feet away were two little girls, identical in every way. Golden curls framed their round faces, and their big blue eyes blinked up at her curiously. They were wearing matching pink dresses with white ribbons tied neatly around their waists, each holding a small stuffed animal in their hands. "Are you our new mommy?" one of them asked softly. Emily froze, unsure if she'd heard correctly. I'm sorry," she stammered, bending slightly to meet their gaze. The other girl spoke up, grinning shyly. "Daddy said we were meeting someone special here. Aunt Jenna showed us your picture." Emily blinked, her heart skipping a beat. Aunt Jenna, her mind scrambled to make sense of it. She glanced around the restaurant, searching for a familiar face, but all she found were strangers. Then it clicked. Jenna, her matchmaking friend, had mentioned the man she was meeting was a single dad. "Oh, no, oh," Emily said softly, a nervous laugh escaping her lips. "You must be Daniel's daughters, right?" Both girls nodded proudly, standing a little taller. "I'm Lily, and this is Lucy," said the first. "Daddy said you'd be nice." Emily felt her cheeks warm as she smiled. "Well, it's lovely to meet you both. But I think your daddy's running a little late." The twins giggled, glancing toward the entrance. "He always is," Lucy said with a sigh, mimicking an adult's tone so perfectly that Emily couldn't help but laugh. She looked back toward the door, and there he was. A tall man in a dark coat rushed in, slightly out of breath, scanning the room until his eyes landed on them. Relief flooded his expression as he walked over quickly. "There you are," he said, crouching down to the girl's level. "You can't just run off like that." Then he turned to Emily, his face apologetic but kind. "You must be Emily. I'm Daniel. I am so sorry about this." Emily smiled softly, the awkwardness fading as she looked at him, and at the two little girls grinning beside her. "It's okay," she said. "I think we've already introduced ourselves." And just like that, the blind date that had started in disappointment had taken the most unexpected turn, one that neither of them would ever forget. Dinner began with the kind of hesitant laughter that comes when two people are trying to make sense of a situation that feels too strange to be real. Daniel still looked flustered, apologizing every few minutes for being late and for his daughter's unexpected entrance. Emily kept assuring him it was fine, her laughter genuine now as the twins, Lily and Lucy, filled every quiet moment with their endless chatter. By the time the waiter brought their meals, the awkwardness had melted into something warm and natural. The girls sat across from Emily, dipping fries into ketchup and whispering secrets to each other between giggles. Daniel watched them with quiet affection, occasionally glancing at Emily with a mix of gratitude and curiosity. He hadn't expected the evening to go this way either, but something about the way Emily smiled at his daughters made his heart feel lighter than it had in years. "So," Emily said, cutting into her pasta, "how did you two convince your dad to bring you along on his blind date?" Lily tilted her head. "We didn't," she said proudly. "He said we had to stay with Aunt Clara, but she got a phone call and left, and Daddy didn't want to cancel. So we told him we could wait in the car." Daniel groaned softly, running a hand through his hair. You see what I deal with. I turned around for 2 minutes, and they were already halfway through the restaurant. Emily laughed. They're pretty smart. And brave. Lucy nodded with a big grin. We just wanted to make sure you were nice. Daddy doesn't smile much anymore. The words hung in the air for a moment, and Daniel looked down, a soft sadness passing through his eyes. Emily's smile faded as she realized what the girls meant. She didn't ask, but something told her. Maybe he had been through something heavy, something that had left a quiet ache behind. I think your dad has a very nice smile, she said softly. The twins nodded in agreement, and Daniel looked up, surprised. Their eyes met for a moment longer than either expected, and suddenly, the room felt smaller, warmer, like a bubble that existed just for the four of them. As dinner went on, the conversation flowed easily. They talked about the girls' favorite movies, Daniel's ranch just outside the city, and Emily's job at a local library. She told them about how she loved reading fairy tales to children during story time, and the twins listened, wide-eyed, as if she were a princess herself. When the waiter brought dessert, the girls begged for one big slice of chocolate cake to share. Daniel tried to object. It's too late for sugar, but Emily winked and said, just this once. Watching them share bites, frosting smudged on their cheeks, she felt something she hadn't in a long time, belonging. As they left the restaurant, Daniel helped the girls with their coats while Emily stood by the door. Snow had started to fall outside, tiny flakes dancing in the soft glow of the streetlights. Lily and Lucy ran ahead to catch them on their tongues, laughing as they twirled. Daniel turned to Emily, his voice gentle. I wasn't sure about tonight, he admitted. But seeing my girls laugh like that, it's been a while. Thank you. Emily smiled, her heart unexpectedly full. I should be thanking them, she said. They're the reason I stayed. Daniel looked at her then. Really looked, and in that quiet, snowy moment, something unspoken passed between them. A beginning neither of them had planned for, but both suddenly wanted to hold on to. The following week, Emily couldn't stop thinking about that snowy night, the laughter, the warmth, and the way Daniel's eyes had softened when he watched his daughters play. She told herself it was just a nice evening, a pleasant memory, but deep down, something had shifted. She found herself smiling at random moments, thinking of the twins' mischievous grins. And Daniel's quiet charm. Then one afternoon, as she was shelving books at the library, she heard two very familiar voices behind her. Miss Emily. She turned, and there they were, Lily and Lucy, bundled up in winter coats, racing toward her between the aisles. Before she could react, they both hugged her legs tightly. Daniel followed close behind, smiling in that calm, slightly shy way of his. Sorry to surprise you, he said. They've been asking to visit all week. Thought we'd come by and finally return your scarf. Emily blinked, realizing he was holding her cream-colored scarf from that night. You kept it, she said, laughing softly. Well, he replied, scratching the back of his neck, it smelled like coffee and vanilla. They said it reminded them of you. Lily giggled. We missed you. Daddy burned pancakes again. Traitor, Daniel said with mock offense, and all three of them laughed. Emily felt warmth spread through her chest, the kind of warmth she hadn't felt in years. She found herself leading them to the children's corner, where she spent the next hour reading fairy tales to the twins. Daniel sat quietly nearby, watching as Emily's voice filled the room with magic. Every time she smiled, he felt his heart tug in a way that scared him, but also felt right. After story time, the girls ran off to explore, leaving Daniel and Emily by the window. Outside, the sun was setting, painting the sky in soft shades of gold and pink. Daniel spoke first. You know, he said, I wasn't sure I'd ever go on another date after my wife passed away. I thought it wouldn't be fair, to me, to them. But that night, seeing how easily you made them laugh, I realized maybe it's okay to start again. Emily looked at him, her throat tightening. You don't have to thank me for that, Daniel. Your girls are wonderful. They just needed a reason to smile. He smiled softly, and so did I. They stood in silence for a moment, the world around them quiet and still. Then, from across the library, Lily called out, Daddy. Miss Emily, can we have pancakes together next time? Daniel chuckled. glancing at Emily with a spark in his eyes. "Guess that's an invitation." Emily hesitated, only for a heartbeat, before nodding. "I'd like that." The twins cheered, running back to them, holding her hands as if it was the most natural thing in the world. And as they walked out together into the cool evening air, Emily realized something beautiful. What began as an empty blind date had led her straight to a family that felt like home. The night might have started with disappointment, but it ended with hope, the kind that comes quietly, like snow falling under streetlights, promising a new beginning for hearts ready to heal.